No one grows up thinking, I want to be a great non-alcoholic beer producer. Non-alcoholic beer had never really crossed my mind as any sort of thing that would be a big part of my life prior to being in the business of non-alcoholic beer itself. My lifestyle was an intense one. I've never been someone to go slow at anything I do, but it was wake up early, work out, very intense day job in the financial world, and one of the most intellectually challenging environments there is at Point 72. And then go out to work dinners, really burning the candles at both ends, and wake up and do it again the next day. It was everything about high performance in my workouts, my job, and everything I did. I grew up, as most people did, with all the jokes around the existing category and why would you drink it, kind of the decaf coffee jokes. And it wasn't until I was living this high-performance modern life that it occurred to me. Beer and adult beverages in general have not adapted to the modern lifestyle, and there was an enormous gap here. About only 50% of adults consume alcohol on a regular basis, and the breadth of non-alcoholic options at on and off-premise places for high-performing adults was super limited. And that struck me, and once the wheel started turning, I couldn't turn it off. Because I was drinking 5 or 6 nights a week, not in huge amounts most of the time. I assumed everyone drank with regularity every time they went out to a bar, restaurant, anything. And it took me stepping away from drinking for performance lifestyle reasons to realize that not that many people actually consume a lot of alcohol with regularity. It's actually a very small percentage of the population that consumes a majority of the alcohol. So as I was in these places, bars and restaurants, and in pain looking for better options, I realized that there were a lot of people like me. And yeah, it didn't start out as I was researching a business idea, and I didn't necessarily know I was going to do this, but it became a passion that I just couldn't turn off. Before I knew it, I was working on it nights and weekends, waking up at 4 in the morning before I went to work. I found myself in a spreadsheet working on the business plan on a Saturday when it wasn't even my full-time job. And that's kind of when I knew that this was something I was really passionate about for the first time in my life. I expected when I started talking about non-alcoholic beer, all my friends, family, and colleagues would think I was absolutely insane. And they were all like, yeah, if it tasted good, I would probably drink that a good amount. And like, that's when I was like, whoa, like if there were better options, I think almost everyone would drink a great non-alcoholic option with some regularity. And then I started running actual surveys and got big data behind that. The non-alcoholic beer market in 2016 and 17 was 0.3% of the overall beer market in the US. But as I ran surveys of thousands of people, 55% plus would say they would drink great non-alcoholic beer with regularity if it didn't come with the bad taste and the stigmas attached to it. But then when you talk to people in the industry, everyone would very nicely say, hey, like, be really careful how much you invest here. There's no demand for it. There's no evidence that this is going to be a thing. And I think it just wasn't a thing because there wasn't great options that got people excited. I teamed up with an incredible co-founder and brewmaster in John, and he was by far the most talented person who'd ever turned his attention on this category before. John had won every alcoholic craft beer award under the sun, and we started brewing at super small scale on Gatorade jugs, just making tweaks, dialing in that process, and getting to real award-winning craft beer that just happened to be non-alcoholic.
The first batches were kind of fun and kind of terrifying. I had been brewing for 7 years at that time, but we really had to deconstruct brewing as it was and think about the ingredients in a much different way. And so it was the first time I had experienced those same ingredients in a different format. And so it was a great learning process for me as a brewer, so really I was starting from scratch.
It really started with the product at a super small scale, hundreds of trials. And then the same kind of grassroots attention out in the world. We went door to door, taste testing retailers, meeting people at finish lines of races when they were sweaty and having a good time, putting a non-alcoholic beer in their hand and telling them a little bit about it. I think we created thousands and thousands of superfans face to face that first summer. And then we just have kept doing that, building our community authentically, talking to people, getting people excited along the whole way.
The biggest difference between brewing traditional and non-alcoholic beer is food safety, primarily because you don't have ethanol as a preservative, and we want to create a shelf-stable product that will be good for 6 months or a year. And in order to do that without a preservative, you have to be really careful about your entire process through and through until it's a finished product in a can and pasteurized. What makes us unique and not unique at all at the same time is that we don't ever remove the alcohol. So we don't require that single unit that single machine that strips everything out. We brew a beer that is fully fermented to under 0.5%, so we don't have to add a step. We don't have to remove anything or add anything back.
It's a really exciting time for Athletic as we take on Keurig Dr. Pepper as a new partner. They led our Series D with a recent investment. In that, we're getting a really scaled partner who operates at the biggest of the beverage industry and a great advisor in our corner. Building a manufacturing business is expensive. We've built two of the biggest non-alcoholic beer breweries in the world in Connecticut and California, and that investment allows us to get those facilities up and running profitably and puts us on a really good, sustainable financial future for all of our teammates. Being commercial hasn't always been cool in the beer industry, but from John and I's perspective, there's nothing cooler than providing great jobs, great opportunity for teammates, and that comes with financial stability, especially in this economy.
One of the biggest learnings I found in developing Athletic and our brewing process was that it wasn't alcohol I was after, it was all the ingredients. And if we can just find a way to showcase those same ingredients in a different format, people are going to like it just the same.
Humans have been drinking beer for 5,000 years, and we think it's got a really important place in society. And so we wanted to give people options that fit their life anywhere, anytime, no matter what their preference is. By giving people the full social and taste experience of drinking beer without the alcohol, it just allows us to take beer where it's never gone before.